Hi. Oh, I got to get my microphone. Oh my God. We're off to a good start. How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Mykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Post-Game Live. Indiana, 56-3 winners at Ross-Ade Stadium in West Lafayette. The Hoosiers are perfect. I was going to joke that I was a little disappointed in Indiana's performance because they only scored 56 against Purdue this year instead of the 66, and they allowed Purdue to score. But just remember, folks, for all of you, Purdue scored 3 more points in the last 2 games against IU than you did. There you go. 812-393-2600 is the number as the Hoosiers finish perfection and head to the Big Ten championship game for next year, next week against Ohio State. Take home the old Oaken bucket. I assume that everybody owns one of these, or they should. I know I do. 812-393-2600 is the number. We have our first caller already here, who it looks like he called the basketball show back on Tuesday, too. Caller, if I could have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, Ryan from Round Lake calling back in.
Ryan, how are you doing?
Hey, what a performance by the Hoosiers. I mean,
yeah,
they ran it down the Boilers' throat. I was on my couch with my son watching it, and I said to him, I could watch this forever.
For sure.
Forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, I just had to send Charlie the intern upstairs. He wanted to be with us. He was like, I'm like, you got to go upstairs, buddy. And he says, he goes, no, but I want to see them run across the field with the bucket. And I'm like, all right, yeah, that's fine. But it is just, you saw them come out, and there was a ton of energy from the Purdue fans who bothered themselves to show up today, and so they were able to get a little bit of, not momentum, but that's what you were looking for early, a little bit of momentum. And the Hoosiers, just stepped on their neck. And that is something that's just absolutely incredible to me.
Hey, Ken, I'll put it this way. My brother's sister was at the game as a Purdue fan tonight.
Okay.
That's a sad drive home back to Whitley County. Sitting out there, my brother's sister driving home cold. Hey, I listened to the rest of the show, and I brought up the after the Hoosiers' great win after Kansas State. I'm basketball a little bit here. I want to get back to football.
Yeah.
The Pump Up Little Baby song. You had a chance to listen yet?
I have not had a chance to listen, no. But I did think about the theme song, and to me, it's maybe at I don't know what the name of the song is, but they go shots and shots and shots and shots and shots. That would be maybe Indiana's hype song there. But we could talk. We could talk more about that on after the basketball show tomorrow. Tonight's about football.
Hey, I'll be back here. I do think I'm cheering for Michigan. Yeah, tomorrow.
I mean, you do what you want to do. If you're looking for, well, the interesting thing about cheering for Michigan tomorrow is that if Michigan wins, Indiana's going to be the number 1 team in the country, and that would be awfully cool. That would be awfully cool to have Indiana be the number 1 team in the country. That said, Indiana has beaten Purdue. They've beaten Michigan, and Curt Cignetti, when he was hired, he said Purdue sucks, but so does Michigan and Ohio State. Well, he got Purdue twice.
Yes, sir.
He got Michigan. I know he would probably want Ohio State. To be the best, you got to beat the best. It would be a hell of a game, but we'll see tomorrow. But for me, I kind of am interested in IU being the number 1 team in the country. I think that would be absolutely amazing.
Hey, keep it up, buddy. Good work. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Bethune-Cookman, right?
Yep, Bethune-Cookman.
High noon.
Yep. Snowy day.
God bless you.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks so much. 812-393-2600 is the number. Give me a call so that we have to talk about this game, talk about everything that the Hoosiers have just accomplished. I haven't even said anything about any kind of stats or anything, although I did not like the idea that, there's going to be this narrative that Fernando Mendoza isn't very good on the road. His numbers just aren't the same when he's away. But, well, you know what? When you score 56 points and you throw a couple of touchdown passes and do a fantastic job, you complete 8 passes and a quarter of those go for touchdowns. Take all that crap about, oh, he's not very good on the road. It's 23 degrees. He did beat Iowa at their place, which is something that doesn't happen. He put 30 points on the then number 2 team in the country against Oregon. He led a game-winning drive against a team that had been number 2 in the country earlier in the year. He put 55 up at Maryland, 56 today. Take all that idea and shove it where the sun don't shine. 812-393-2600. We got another caller. Caller, if you have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, Ken, this is Adrian from Nashville, Tennessee. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, Adrian. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I do know, we haven't really talked about stats, and there's so many floating around. So I'm not really going to get in the game much, but I will say the stat that is very interesting is that Indiana has outscored Purdue the last few games, 122-3, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, no complaints here.
Never expected that. But listen, I don't keep you on too long. I'm more the big picture here. I mean, 12-0. It's hard to kind of fathom just being such a big IU fan. I mean, growing up and having all kinds of memories and this next Saturday is a big day for Indiana athletics, and I know a lot of people. I'm here in Tennessee, so I'm not around Indiana fans much. So kind of the Peegs community is kind of where I tend to spend a lot of time, which is a great place to spend a lot of your time. But I tell you what, Ken, we need to figure out what's everybody doing next Saturday. I mean, we got the double dip. I assume we got a lot of people, but I mean, we got a big gap between that basketball game and that football game, and I'm hoping maybe we get some Pigs meetups or something going on. What do you got going on that Saturday?
Well, we got busy day. Going. So and I'm going to end up having 2 of these call-in shows, and so for me, I might be right where I am right now for both of those games, because we have guys that are going to be on site for Louisville IU, and then you say there's plenty of time in between. Not if you're working. There's not. There's stuff to do. So I don't know. We'll find out what it is that the plans are. But hopefully, maybe something can be worked out and brought together late.
Well, there is plenty of time if you're hanging out and you're drinking in between. That's going to kind of be those of us who aren't working. But listen, Ken, I'll tell you, I am just so proud of this program. Proud of Curt Cignetti. I mean, I think there's a ton of direction we could go with the individual stuff of the game, but just the feeling from having a football program now that is relevant, that it just creates all. I mean, I've been looking forward to this game all day, and I think we all knew they were probably going to handle Purdue.
Sure.
But I mean, it's just being able to watch the team go 12-0 and just knowing that these kids out there playing their hearts out. They just got great attitudes and just a great coaching staff and I particularly wouldn't get emotional and everything, but I'm taking my dad to these 2 games next weekend. We don't get to see each other very often.
Yeah.
And so, growing up watching basketball games like we did with, him dragging me, to Bob Knight basketball camps. This is, now I'm 50 years old. He's 75 years old. And so it's, sports can do that, and
sure.
Now to have Indiana sports doing this for me and my dad and us to have that opportunity, and quite honestly, me to pay way too much. I pay way too much money for those tickets, but it's really that value means is nothing in fact that we get to really enjoy, whether, basketball wins or loses, football wins or loses. I hope they do both win, but we're going to have a great day, and it'll be a memory that, we'll share for the rest of our lives. So,
well, that's something.
I appreciate you, Ken.
That's something actually that I think about quite a bit. My father passed away in 2017. He was a big IU fan. He would have absolutely loved this. My Uncle Dave, who is a lawyer in Indianapolis, he passed away back in July. He was a big IU guy. He would have loved this. All of this brings families together, and the kind of success Indiana football has had over the past 2 years. Give you an example of how good it has been. In Tom Allen's final 5 years as head coach, Indiana won 23 games. Indiana has won 23 games in Curt Cignetti's first 25 games here, and there are at least 2 more to go. So that's the kind of success we're talking about.
Well, once again, Ken, I appreciate you doing these call-in shows. I'm kind of one of these old school nerdy people, and I I miss the old days of call-in shows of back when you actually had you had landlines to call in and stuff. So
Sure.
I appreciate you putting all this work in, and good luck tonight, and get some good rest, Ken, and we'll get ready for next weekend.
Well, and again, call-in show tomorrow after Bethune-Cookman. So thanks so much for the call.
Absolutely,
Really appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, thank you.
812-393-2600 is the number. Got another caller online. We got a couple of people. The 314 area code, stay on the line because we'll get to you next. Caller, have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, it's Larry from Fort Wayne. How you doing, Ken?
Good, Larry. How you doing?
Good, man. Hey, Indiana shows up ready. Purdue shows up to shiver. Cold weather hits the boilers hard, while Hoosiers hardly quiver. The bucket game gets frosty, but one thing still stays true. Purdue keeps slipping on ice. Bless their hearts. Go IU.
Look at that. That's the second poem that you've been written. You wrote. You rhymed it last week too.
Hey,
So
I wanted to echo the caller from Nashville, and thank you for the time. I'm kind of in the same age bracket that he is, and appreciate these call-in shows. I look forward to it immensely. It was a great day today. Two questions. I wanted to see, what did you think, Mendoza? Does it hurt his Heisman chances tonight?
I certainly hope not. And here's the thing is, yeah, he was 8 of 15 passing, 117 yards. But like I said, he threw 2 touchdowns. So 2 of those completions, of those 8 completions, went for touchdowns. You don't need to put up massive numbers to be a Heisman Trophy winner. To me, he is the starting quarterback on an undefeated team. He didn't do anything to hurt himself. I don't believe the weather's 23 degrees. I don't, but I also know that he isn't overly concerned about the Heisman. He's worried about the team being successful. The other thing about those numbers is how many games this year did Fernando Mendoza do enough with his offense that he only had to play 3 quarters? That's something that cannot be overlooked.
You're right.
I mean, this is
you're right.
This is an IU team that put 63 on Illinois. They put 56 on UCLA, I believe. They put obviously,
like
I mean, just looking at this, it is 56 on UCLA, 55 on Maryland. They put up 56 tonight, and Mendoza is playing in a lot of these games 3 quarters of the game. So his numbers don't necessarily tell the whole story. To me, it's when he's on the field, he has just been fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think of Sig and his relationship, or his relevance with Coach Knight? Do you see any similarities there?
You know what? It's apples and oranges. One thing that I keep coming back to with Bob Knight is for as great a coach that as he was fired a quarter century ago. So I think it's really important for IU fans. He was the coach when I went to school there. I grew up with him. I feel very strongly about what his meaning has been to the school. But at some point, we have to stop looking backwards at him. God rest his soul. That said, Sig is different because he doesn't have that same temperament. He just goes out there and kicks ass and doesn't bother to take names, and is just a steamroller. And so from that standpoint, and remember, Knight came here, he was very young when he came here. And obviously, Sig gets here, he's 63 years old, he's 64 now. He's been here for 25 games and has worked absolute wonders. To me, arguably, given the time, the history that's here, and everything that goes along with IU football, where it's been and where it's going, this has to be, in terms of speed and everything, the greatest turnaround in college sports history. It just has to.
Oh,
it's incredible.
Without question.
Yeah.
Without question. Since I mentioned Bob Knight, did you happen to check out Purdue Eastern Illinois basketball at all today?
No, I didn't.
Any thoughts on the Boilermakers? No? Okay.
No. Well, before, it's been a pretty good day. 2 out of 3 ain't bad for me. I'm a Bears fan, and the Bears won and beat Philadelphia.
Boy.
Obviously, IU wins. The only downside today is the school I went to for high school, Maryville High School, lost in the state championship game, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
I didn't know you were from the region, man.
Oh,
Makes
yes,
me
sir.
like you all the more. I got buddies from the region myself.
I woke up in the region this morning, so.
Oh, geez. Well, you've had a heck of a long day driving back south. And anyway, man, I'll let you alone. I'll let somebody else call. But thanks, man. We appreciate your show.
I appreciate the call. Take care. Talk to you after next game.
Later, buddy. Bye.
812-393-2600 is the number. Hope to hear from Kurt Signetti here in just a little bit following Indiana's 56-3 win over Purdue. We got another caller. Caller, thank you so much for being patient. What's your name and what you got?
My name's Kyle. Live in Peoria, but I'm currently in Washington, D.C. with the in-laws celebrating Thanksgiving, so watching the game from their basement. But I've just got to say, if you would have told me, that college football was going to expand to a 12-team playoff, and when that expansion happened, IU would be participating in the first 2, I would have called you a liar. I don't think there's anything anyone could have said to me that would have convinced me. But this is just like a crazy reality that we are living in right now. And 12-0. I think the most optimistic person looking at this schedule before the season, you're thinking 10-2. I know Vegas had that over under at 8.5 wins, I think, at the beginning of the year. But to be 12-0, like I said, this is just beyond my wildest dreams.
It's been a fever dream. It absolutely has been. And I think back, I was thinking about this in the second half today about the call-in show that I did after the Old Dominion game, the first game of the season. Indiana wins 27-14, gives up a couple of touchdowns on some busts. Fernando Mendoza didn't look great in that. They had some callers that were like, I don't know if he's as good as Rourke and all of that. And now here we sit, 11 games later. Indiana is undefeated for the first time in school history, number 2 ranked team in the country, has steamrolled almost everybody who stood up in front of them. And this is off the back of last year going 11-2 and going to the college football. This has just been absolutely unbelievable. Just an unbelievable season. Nobody could have called this, but damn it, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I post quite often on the Peegs boards, and I know some people took offense to one of the things that I posted, because I posted, I think yesterday that, after this game, as far as I'm concerned, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, everything's gravy beyond this point. Because like you said, if you would have told me at the beginning of the year, that IU was just going to make the playoffs, let alone, make it to the Big Ten championship game, and you just said, hey, they're going to make the playoffs. Even if you said it was first round loss in the playoffs, I've been like, yep, lock me in for that season.
Oh, sure.
Like you said, any win at this point, I think it's like I said, it's just the extra gravy on top. And I know the team's not thinking that way, because, the sky is the limit. This team right now, honestly, there's not a team in the country right now that I don't think if they play their A game that they're not capable of beating. And it sounds like some of our starting offensive linemen look like they might be coming back. Maybe not for the Big Ten title game, but it seems like worst case they'll be back for the playoffs. And this team's going to be healthy, and I think they're primed to make a run. And it'll be really cool to see get that first round bye, and it'd be great to actually go out to California, play in the Rose Bowl, in the actual Rose Bowl game. That would just be phenomenal.
Yeah, and this is a team that is hungry too, because they went to the college football playoff last year, and that was unexpected, and they did what they did. And then you had everybody saying, well, I don't know if they can do it again, this, that, the other. They've done it again, and they want to prove to everybody that they belonged. It ain't a fluke, but you're still going to have people, regardless, move the goalposts on them. We've seen it happen time and time and time again that, Indiana is going to be really tested against Illinois, and then they beat the hell out of Illinois, and they're like, oh, well, Illinois is not that good. Or you play Penn State, that everybody is always, it's a tough place to play. This is going to be really tough. And you win a squeaker at that, and they're like, wow, well, this is a team that's lost a bunch of games in a row. They're not very good. It's like 6 weeks ago, you had them ranked the number 2 team in the country. So don't tell me that they're not very good. There's still a ton of talent and a ton of pride, and Indiana still went in and beat them there. To me, that is the thing. Every little thing that all these outsiders, people who know the program, have seen what's going on, but haven't watched every play, like people who have been watching IU all season for the last 2 seasons, we know this is for real. And IU players are definitely hungry to shut everybody up.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about this too. After this game, this is one of those seasons. With the Big Ten having 9 games. Some years you get 4 home games. Some years you get 5 home games. This was a year when we had to play 5 on the road.
Right.
We went 5-0 on the road. There's so many seasons I think all of us remember where IU couldn't even win 5 games in a season, let alone going 5-0 on the road. That's another thing. If you would have told me that they would have had to be an undefeated season, it's like, well, surely that was a season when we had 5 home games and we just got really fortunate and drew 4 easy road games. But and when you think about it, 5 of our road games were like 3 of those 5 games were probably 3 of our toughest opponents. When you think of Oregon, Penn State, and Iowa. Those are, I know it's a bad year for Penn State, but those are 3 still really good, talented teams, and you beat all 3 of them on the road. It's just unbelievable.
Absolutely. It's been incredible to watch. And again, to then go to Purdue and beat them 56-3. It's a 53-point win. Their second 53-point win of the season in conference. Yeah. It's just their third 50-point win in conference this year. Think about that. Think about that. You're talking about Illinois, you're talking about UCLA, you're talking about Purdue. 3 50-point wins in conference. This isn't nobody Tech. These are Big Ten teams. And it's just been unbelievable.
Yep. Well, again, like the other caller said, I appreciate you, putting these together. And like I said, I'm really, like I said, everything here is gravy on top. Sky's the limit. And if this team, can, regardless of who they play next Saturday, if they can pull it off and have an undefeated season with the Big Ten championship, this is something all of us will remember for the rest of our lives. It's just been unbelievable.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. 812-393-2600 is the number. 56-3 is the final. I've loved all these calls. I haven't had a chance to even talk about the game too much, the stats. JM on the chat says, Hoosier fans, who do you want to play in the Big Ten championship game next week? Ohio State, Michigan, or Oregon? Tell me who you want to see. I want to hear from you. We do have another call on the line. Caller, if I could have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, this is Joey from Huntington calling in again. How you doing tonight, Ken?
Hey, Joey, how you doing?
Question. I think I know how you're doing.
I'm feeling good. I'm very happy right now.
2 out of 3 ain't bad, right?
That's right.
Hey, so I'm going to start off. I had 2 points to make, and one was kind of unrelated, but the first one was really about who I want to see. And since you just brought that up, I heard the caller earlier say we're supposed to root for Michigan tomorrow. You know what? I don't give a darn about being number 1 in the country. I want Ohio State. All the naysayers have said, this, that, and the other about this football team, and all the haters can throw anything they want to at us, and the last kind of monkey on our back is Ohio State. I want Ohio State. If we can beat Ohio State, we just shut up every single hater that we have. So bring on Ohio State. Bring on the Buckeyes. I'm from Huntington. I went to college with a bunch of guys who went to Ohio State, and I don't like Ohio State, and so we need to beat them. That's the final monkey that we've got to get off our back.
That's absolutely fair. That's absolutely fair. And it's one of the teams that Indiana lost to last year. So avenging that when the only Big Ten team Indiana has lost to in the past 2 years is Ohio State. And it's one of those things. I said this when it came to Penn State. I said it when it came to Michigan, and IU has done it but the 2 times before, that until you beat those teams, people are going to say you can't do it. And so having that opportunity is would be really important. I don't care who they play. I really honestly don't. I think that having Indiana be the number one team in the country would be pretty cool. But I see the argument about playing Ohio State. You want to play the best. You want to have that opportunity. You also want to prove that you're the best. And I'll tell you this much, head to head, Indiana has played these opponents for the most part better than Ohio State. Ohio State only scored 38 against Purdue and I think gave up 14 or 17 points. So I would absolutely love to see it. But again, I'm not going to be concerned about whoever the opponent is in the Big Ten championship game for Indiana football. It's amazing.
Well, I just think they're the most insufferable fan base. I can take Purdue fans more than I can take Ohio State fans as a Northeast Indiana guy. And, we've just got to get that monkey off our back, I think, at this point. And I think the head-to-head comparison for the Heisman gets really interesting in that game as well.
Oh, for sure.
I think if Mendoza can bring it in that game, I think he's got a rock-solid case for being Heisman. So that was kind of the first point I wanted to make. Second point I wanted to make was I know you kind of got used limited, but boy, it was just sure nice to see Elijah Surratt come back tonight and get a catch and kind of that statement catch that he makes, right? The over the back shoulder catch. What do we know about him and what do we know about his future? Obviously there's things with health we can't say, but sure good to at least see him back a little bit tonight, Ken.
Oh, for sure. And I know that they wouldn't send him out there, especially in those conditions, unless they felt comfortable with him. He was targeted 4 times today, 3 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. So effective, even though he had those limited targets. This is a great way to shake off the rust from missing a couple of games and get a chance to play here. Again, I know they were being cautious with him. So being able to do all of that and still have him produce, I think is really important. And I mean, the kid just has a really, really bright future, and you want him to be 100% for the Big Ten championship game.
100%. And then one final question tonight, Ken, since no one's asked yet, and I heard you reference it. You woke up in the region this morning. Want to hear about some highlights of your Thanksgiving. It sounds like you were up in the region. I know last call you mentioned Kevin and Amy, and Kevin being a heck of a guitar player.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there was any music involved in your Thanksgiving, any games involved in your Thanksgiving. What was some of the best food from your Thanksgiving? Just want to hear your highlights.
Okay, so we went to his house. He lives over in Portage, and we stayed at my mother-in-law's in Cherville, and then went over to Portage and went to Kevin and Danielle's house, and we had turkey. We watched all 3 NFL football games. Had some drinks. Had some great stuffing. Had some great green bean casserole. Had some really good turkey, some mashed potatoes. It was a rock solid day all around. Just a really nice thing. And we're at that point too, where all the kids are a little bit older now and don't have to be helicoptered. They're not toddlers anymore where they're trying to kill themselves at all times. So it was just a really nice time. Really, really was.
Any guitar playing?
He didn't play any guitar yesterday. No, we didn't pull out the guitar yesterday, but that'll be coming up real soon. I know that he's got, I think this weekend, he might have a gig somewhere. I don't remember where it is though.
Okay, so you brought up drinks. I got to ask, it's obviously late at night, it's 11:40. What's the Thanksgiving drink of choice?
Let's see. I had yesterday, I had a Hoosier game day. I had some Miller Lights, and what you're talking about it being late at night. I was going to save this for the end of the show, but the celebratory, Woodford Double Oaked. That's what I'm going to have that a little bit at the end of the show. So I haven't gotten into it yet, but I will. So
I like a good Woodford Double Oak. That's a Costco buy for me. If I'm going to Costco, there's about 90% chance I'm walking out of there with a Woodford Double Oak bottle for sure. Well, hey, Ken, I appreciate you. Thanks for your time tonight. As always, tune into Huntington News Now, Facebook Live show. Appreciate you, Ken.
I certainly will, and if you ever need any help with that, you let me know.
All right, will do.
All right, take care. I've been loving these calls. I'll tell you what. Been a ton of fun. 812-393-2600 is the number. Lines are open. I want to hear from you. Haven't even had a chance to kind of break down this game just yet, because we've been talking on brighter subjects than just one game. Indiana, let's start off with 548 yards of total offense, 193 yards passing, 355 yards rushing. So you had 152 yards on 12 carries by Roman Hemby on the day. And let me see if I can go ahead and see what away. Here we go. Can I see what he did in just the first half? I don't know. But Hemby, 12 carries, 152 yards and a touchdown. Kalen Black, 13 carries, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kobe Martin, 8 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown. Alberto Mendoza, 2 carries for 59 yards. And Fernando Mendoza, 2 carries for 27 yards and a touchdown. 5 rushing touchdowns on the day for the Hoosiers is incredible. I mean, and just can't say enough about the job that Indiana did offensively of just completely wearing down the Boilermakers. Passing, Fernando Mendoza wasn't his crispest. Made a couple of bad decisions at times, but 8 of 15 passing, 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. Alberto Mendoza, 2 of 2 for 76 yards and a touchdown. Omar Cooper, 3 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown, including 1 catch and run that the play went on for probably a good 10 seconds because he made 4 or 5 guys miss. He scores a touchdown. Elijah Surratt, 3 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown on his return. Then you had Davion Chandler with a catch for 65 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Brady, he has a catch for 11 yards. Couple of smaller catches. And with Surratt back, Charlie Becker didn't have to be as busy, but that depth is really, really important for Indiana. Then you throw in Indiana's defense, and this is where, look, I know Purdue is not very good at football this year. I get it. But you're talking about a defense that held Purdue to 44 yards rushing, gave up 238 yards passing, which Sig's not going to be happy about. I can promise you that. Purdue was a little more effective than I think Sig would have wanted, 7 of 19 on third down. But they turned the ball over twice. There was good pressure put on Ryan Brown. In this game, he finishes 25 of 47 for 238 yards and has an intercept and has one of his passes intercepted. Indiana ran 20 fewer plays than Purdue. 54 plays for Indiana. Indiana averaged 10.1 yards a play, which is incredible. Purdue ran 74 plays, averaged 3.8 yards a play. Passing, Mendoza averaged 19.3 yards per completion. Just a fantastic effort from him in being efficient with the ball. 812-393-2600 is the number. Lines are open. Parmer Lee says, thinking too far ahead, do you think it's realistic they could beat Ohio State twice? The second game would have higher implications if it occurred. Any team is tough to beat twice, especially one that has the kind of experience that Ohio State does. So that would unquestionably be a challenge. But you have to beat them once to begin with. And so can they? I need to see them face to face, but it's a challenge. Look, there's a lot of work to be done, not just with Ohio State, but with other teams when it comes to the idea of getting to the college football playoffs, putting yourself in position to win a national championship. There's a lot of work left to be done. But to this point, Indiana has steamrolled all but a couple of programs that are historically very good. R11 says, I'm sick as a dog, otherwise I'd call in. So proud of the team and program. The progress this last 2 years is almost unbelievable. I don't know about that almost unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And they have been really, really good. He also says, I was wrong about Alberto. It's going to be hard for a QB to snatch the job from him. We know this, that I like what I've seen from Alberto Mendoza. Now, obviously, when he comes in the game, games are out of hand. Indiana has stayed remarkably healthy. Knock on all the wood that you could find about that. But he also does look poised and looks like a guy that, could have potential. So, who knows? Maybe he will get that opportunity. We will see. 812-393-2600 is the number. We got another call. Caller, if I could have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Ken, Rob from Greenwood. What's up, big dog?
How you doing, Rob?
Hey, I'm so happy you haven't blocked my number. I appreciate you.
Why would I?
I mean, all right, listen. What's the ceiling of this team now? Answer it honestly. What's the ceiling?
The ceiling is they're pressed up against Ohio State, and being able to get past them is your ceiling.
Can they do it?
My thing is always, until you do it, I don't believe that you can do it. Now, understand what I'm saying there. Is that?
Yeah, I want to know more.
Yeah.
Tell me more. I want to know more.
No,
what are you saying? I want to know more.
That, to me, honestly, even rationally, I know that that's more scar tissue than anything else. That is the years of saying, okay, they're going to have a shot against Ohio State this year, including last year. And then they aren't able to do it. This year, though, is different. And I think that the reason it is different is because you have an IU team that is experienced in a way that it wasn't last year. In being at these heights, you have a lot of leaders on this team that went through it last year. And so they feel they could play with anybody. There's not going to be any kind of intimidation. Should they play Ohio State, they're hungry and driven from last year. I think that loss is stuck in their craw. And so that is part of it. Indiana also has done a great job defensively, playing at a much higher level this year, I think, that they did last year. And they weren't even bad last year, but this year has been really, really impressive. And again, you have a quarterback in Fernando Mendoza this year that is has more mobility than Curtis Rourke did. And we obviously know why Curtis Rourke wasn't as mobile. Not that he was ever, Kellen Lewis to begin with, but he was, playing with a torn ACL last year. Mendoza has better speed, better mobility, all of that kind of stuff. I'm really excited to see if Indiana plays Ohio State. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to me because there's a lot more than just, it's Indiana against Ohio State. Indiana has a different feel this year, and it feels that it's hungry and it owes Ohio State one. And I'm sure Ohio State is tired of hearing Indiana's name as well. So if they end up playing Ohio State, it's going to be a hell of a battle, but Ohio State has its own challenge tomorrow.
Ken, that was a hell of an answer, dude. Dude, you got me fired up now.
Well, I just, this team is been so much fun to watch. And even when it has been on the line, they're not letting you down. I grew up a Chicago Bulls fan in the 90s, 80s and 90s, and Jordan never let you down. And that's one thing that sticks with you. And this is a team that when it has needed its defense has gotten the stops. Offense has responded. It has come from all kinds of different areas. Some game you might have Mendoza throwing for big numbers. You might have Omar Cooper making an amazing catch. You might have Indiana running for 300 yards again. And you have an offensive line that has been dominating, and a defense, both lines of scrimmage have been dominating. The back half has been fantastic. Aiden Fisher has been great at linebacker, and the other linebackers have stepped up. It's a complete team. And that's why it's just been absolutely extraordinary to watch.
Hey, how was it from your view back in Indiana? I can't wait to get back home and watch it, but the experience in it was amazing, right? A lot of IU, and it was just total domination, obviously. But what was that viewpoint for you watching on TV?
Oh, well,
and what can I expect when I get back?
Well, the thing of it is Indiana. I got a lot of friends that went to Purdue as well, and so there's a lot of silence on their end with this. As I was like, hey, you know what? I'm no expert. Then I was like, oh, well, actually, I am kind of an expert on this, but Purdue's not very good at football, boys, and a lot of silence. And that silence continued. And you know what wasn't silent is the fans in Ross-Ade Stadium, all the IU fans that painted that place red. And as the Purdue fans filed out of the place, there was Indiana fans just partying right there. And I was in the stands the year Purdue earned a trip to the Rose Bowl. Drew Brees' last year. I was in the stands for that, and Purdue fans, were on IU fans pretty good. I've been to a number of games at Ross-Ade, and just to chase the home crowd home sure is a hell of a lot of fun if you're an IU fan, especially with Purdue.
Yeah, what do you think Sig was thinking when he was walking off that field into the tunnel and it was just all IU red? What do you think?
I mean, it's just a validation that everything that he's done has been exactly what he needed. But, he doesn't need validation. He knew it before he got here, that what he did worked. And like I told the caller earlier, Indiana's won 23 games in the last 2 years, and that's the same number that Tom Allen won in his last 5 years. And 2 of those years were 2 of the best years Indiana has had in its modern history. So it's just been something else. And we know that Sig is going to be here as long as he wants to be. And you could bet your ass that there's every recruit watching this is seeing this and going, man, I wouldn't mind being a part of that.
Hey, Kenny, you're the best, bro. Hey, you got a Rabby story yet?
I'm not going to give you a Rabby story tonight, no.
All right. Hey, do you know Steve Stallwell?
That name sounds familiar. Why do I know him?
Yeah. Hey, I'll find you in the next IU game. We'll talk. All right, my man. We'll see you later, dude. Hey, let's go Hoosiers.
Take care. Appreciate the call.
See you, Kenny.
812-393-2600 is the number. How many of you took a picture of the poor guy in the stands after Indiana scored its last touchdown, and they showed his face, and he just looked sad, and it said 55-3 at the time before the extra point? How many of you went ahead and stopped and took a picture of that screenshot? That's a normal thing. I like it. On the chat here, Jeff Covey says 12-0 outside of 75 and 76 basketball teams. Has there been anything better? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, the 81 team winning a national championship, the 87 team winning a national championship, the watch shot was pretty great, but not better. The potential of all of this and everything that is wrapped up in IU football history, I think is what is really incredible about all of this. That to me is what is really stands out about this. R11 says, was the offensive line rotating 6 guys tonight even before the backups went in? I think Khalil Benson was coming in and out a little bit, that they were trying to keep him fresh, especially as the score started to get away a little bit. I think that they did start to do that just to try to keep people fresh, because why wouldn't you? I mean, it's the right thing to do. Jeff says, 0 chance of playing Ohio State and Columbus. Top 2 defenses on a neutral site. It will be crazy. And yeah, it will be. It'll be a ton of fun. Ohio State fans, obviously, they travel real hard. We know that. I once watched Ohio State fans tear down the south goalpost at Memorial Stadium and pass it into the stands back in the 90s. But basically, a home game in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship, and with IU basketball playing Louisville that same day, it's going to be amazing. And that's exactly what Tony says. What a scene it'll be next weekend at Lucas Oil. Indianapolis is going to be bananas. It's going to be a ton of fun, to say the least. 812-393-2600 is the number. gonna try to see if we sure do. All right, let me go ahead and get that downloaded so we could hear from Sig. That is always a highlight. He always has plenty to say, and certainly excited about hearing what he had to say about the game, because I could say whatever I want to, but I would want to hear from the man himself. So, without any further ado, here is head coach Curt Cignetti during his post-game press conference.
Yep. All right, good team win tonight. We challenged the team to improve, even though we had won the last 2 games. I didn't feel like we had improved those 2 weeks, and we asked our guys to do more. Do we still have the killer instinct to put a team away? Can we get everybody to play for the team and eliminate all selfishness? And then at halftime, when we're up 28-3, we challenged the team to play the best third quarter of the season, which I think they responded and tried to do that. So obviously, first team in Indiana history to go 12-0 in the regular season. And that's absolute, and regardless of what happens from here on out, this team will always be the first team in Indiana history to go undefeated in the regular season. So it's a great job by the players. Got a lot of good players that have high character, a lot of leadership. It's a great job by the assistant coaches, sports staff, Derek Goings and his staff. And I'm extremely appreciative of President Pam Whitten and Scott Dolson for their leadership and support in making this possible. Because it takes a commitment to make this possible. So we followed up an 11-1 with a 12-0. It's not a bad start. And I'm sure I'll get that question. Did I ever think that was possible? But I'll be honest with you, it happened so fast, I was just trying to figure out what I was going to pack and bring to Bloomington. And here we are. So, but I think everybody in the organization understands there's work to be done and what lies ahead, and we're excited for the future. Questions?
Zach, on your left in Niz.
Kurt, I guess like in that vein, you said a couple weeks ago against Wisconsin, after Wisconsin, you said it's hard for you to have sort of take that step back. But on a night when you do something that, as you say, is kind of final and forever, like, do you encourage your team to have a moment where they just sort of soak in and appreciate this has never happened before? Whatever you accomplish from here, you've done something historic.
Well, believe it or not, I don't control every thought, action, and habit of our team or coaches. There's a lot of celebrating going on in that locker room right now. There's a lot of cigars being smoked, and they're having a good old time. And but they also understand that they get to enjoy it for 24 hours. And it's a great night for Indiana, for our fan base, our alums, our loyal supporters. Everybody that cares about Indiana. This is something that a lot of people probably thought couldn't happen. And it just goes to show you, when you have a commitment and a plan and you have the right people in place, anything's possible. So here we are, but more work to be done.
Niz on your left in Matt.
What's it been like, though? I mean, Hayden Fisher, first thing he does, gets the bucket, runs with a team, then runs over to you. And those jams, you guys have had a lot of these moments. Does that make you emotional that these guys followed you, came with you, and trusted you, and that they've risen to these heights now in 2 years?
I guess it could if I dwelt on it. I don't have time, really. There's so many things that I'm involved with when the game ends. I did happen to notice that, and had a special moment with Tyree Tucker, who, is somebody that I've known for a long time. And, so they've had a lot of great seasons. Yeah, they have, and we have together. But it's, it's our first undefeated regular season. We've had a lot of one-loss seasons. But this is a team. Everybody that contributed to this, from the president to the athletic director and his staff, the assistant coaches, all the support staff, and the players, their hard work, players who graduated last year and played a role to make this happen and carry that kind of momentum and credibility forward. It's something that everybody played a part in, and certainly our tremendous fans.
Man on your left in Pete.
Coach, again, the run game, just keep wearing them down. Eventually the dam breaks. You break their well. Passing game was maybe not as sharp, early on, but just your thoughts on that, on the O-line and the run game, especially with some moving parts there on the O-line to go out there and 355 yards rushing.
Well, when you play in these kind of conditions, it sure helps if you can run the football, right? And, like people talk about defense travels, run game travels too, especially in these kind of conditions. And the pass game took a while and really never quite was on point. But the run game sure was good. A lot of explosive plays, and the defense got some turnovers for us, and Purdue couldn't find the end zone, and special teams were solid. So it was a good all-around team win.
Pete on your left and Rabbi.
Yeah, Kurt, just the performance of Stephen Daly, he was dominant, especially early on.
Yeah, Daly's a guy that just keeps getting better and better and better. And there's another guy, known him for a long time, was in our camp at JMU, ran sub 4.4, 4.4, low 4.400, 40-yard dash in camp, at 232 pounds, about 6% body fat at the time. He was a sub 10.8 100-meter guy in high school. And he played at a really small high school, and then he went to Kent State. And so, he came here this summer. He committed to us a few months before that. Like he hadn't done anything. He came in out of shape, but he's got the type of body, and in 2-3 weeks he was back in pretty good shape. But he's getting the kind of development now through nutrition, strength and conditioning, coaching, that kind of thing, where you're really seeing him start to blossom. Wish we had him for another year or two, but we don't. And he's a key player for us right now.
Rabbi in front and Jim.
Coach, what is it about this group that made them capable of 12-0 of doing this?
I don't know. I'm not sure I have the answer to that. There's a lot of multiples and dynamics that go into that. I think the Illinois game was a big game for us. We had our eyes on them. We were kind of lurking in the weeds, so to speak, after last year. We'd gotten hammered so badly because of how we played against Ohio State and Notre Dame. We didn't talk about it, but it was there. It was there every day, every hour, every minute. And Illinois was coming to town, and they were getting hyped up, and they were number 9 in the country, and we were ready. And then from then on, we found a way. When the games got tight at the end, we found a way to win it. The quarterback made the plays, receivers made the plays, the defense made the plays. So, we are where we are, and there's some tough challenges ahead, but this is a team definitely capable.
Jim on your left and Daniel.
Kurt, you alluded to it in the beginning of whether it be possible to go 12-0 at Indiana, I'm assuming, but as you look around the landscape, there's not very many 12-0 teams. How difficult is it, period, to go 12-0 in college football today, much less in the Big Ten?
It's really hard, especially at the P4 level. Man, I think there's only about 5 Big Ten teams that have gone undefeated in regular season since 2000. It's 26 years, 26 years. Ohio State a couple of times, Michigan once, Oregon once. Other than that, that's it. Indiana now, add them to the list.
Daniel in front and Zach.
I think from last year and now, you guys are now have outscored them 122-3. Do you take pride in that? Just how do you feel about that?
No, it's a rival game that's important. First of all, it's a game on our schedule, and every game's important. It's a rival game that means a lot to our alums. So, the water cooler on Monday, so to speak, right? The fact that we've outscored them like we have, it's just the fact of where we're at and where they're at right now. They're going to get better. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to get better. Coach is going to do a great job of improving that roster and coaching that football team. And, they just sort of hit rock bottom. It timed up with my arrival. And we've had 2 nice nights against them.
Zach, on your right, we'll wrap with Mike.
Coach, you talked about not seeing the improvement you wanted to from Penn State to Wisconsin. How much of tonight was solely focused on seeing that improvement that you didn't see?
That was the entire message today to the staff and the team. is, do we still have the killer instinct? Can we play for one another as a team? We don't have a lot of selfishness on this team, but anytime you have 105 players, there's some, right? Can we leave that in the locker room? Doesn't show up on the field. Can we get receivers blocking downfield, play in, play out? Can we get our safeties lining up with a sense of urgency and everybody busting their butt on special teams? And I'm sure it wasn't perfect. I know it wasn't perfect, but it was a good night. And the whole deal was we wanted to walk out of this game with an exclamation point and not a question mark, and we did.
Mike, wrote you on your right, last one.
Coach, another first time ever is going to be the Big Ten championship game. You sat in Lucas Oil Stadium a year ago and said you were going to get the team there. It's a year later. You've done it. How does that feel?
We're a year late. It'll be a great game.
All right, thanks, guys.
So there is Curt Cignetti from his post-game press conference. 812-393-2600 is the number. Lines are open. I want to hear from you. R11 says, Coach is hitting on all the major points that it takes to make a successful college program. I love him mentioning last year's players contributing to this year's success. That's what I mean about the whole idea that this is a hungry team, because they hear the same things that we do. They hear all of it. And so, yeah, that's something that they want to prove to people, that they belong and that this is everything that they want. By the way, he mentioned about being undefeated a couple of different times, and it's hard to be undefeated. Indiana right now is one of only 2 undefeated teams in college football, because Texas A&M lost earlier tonight. So it's Ohio State and Indiana, and obviously Ohio State has to take on Michigan, 9-2 Michigan, looking to try to see what they can do on the road tomorrow. So, I mean, there's a lot of work left to be done for Ohio State, and it's just been a ton of fun. So, I mean, it was just an incredible effort. And he mentioned about being a year late for playing in the Big Ten championship game. That is something that he said at the Big Ten championship game, December 1st, 2023. There's a tweet from Nicole Auerbach from December 1st, 2023. She says, Curt Cignetti just told us that Indiana will be playing in the Big Ten championship game next year. They're late, but they're there. And it hasn't been a series of fluke wins or just figuring it out. Last year, they built up a ton of belief, and it stung when they lost to Ohio State, when they lost to Notre Dame. I'm glad Sig mentioned that. Again, earlier this year against Old Dominion, I was doing this call-in show, and 27-14, it's like, all right, well, are they going to be as good as they were last year? And the whole idea was, it's August, everybody be patient. And since then, let's see, what is the total number of touchdowns that they have allowed since that Old Dominion game? Let's see, 1 against Illinois. I think they had 1 against Iowa. I believe it was 2 against Oregon. 1 against Michigan State, none against UCLA, 1 against Maryland, a couple against Penn State, 1 against Wisconsin, and none against Purdue. That's the thing. This offense, is explosive as it is, the defense has been incredible. There were years there when I would keep track of how many times Indiana gave up 40-plus points. And now the check is, how many times this year have they given up less than 10? And the answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 12 games. And they only gave up 10 in another one. 2 of them. So 7 out of 12 games, Indiana's given up 10 or fewer points. And that's part of the reason why, that's something that you should be excited for is late in the game, Indiana was really playing some tough defense just so that they wouldn't give up a touchdown. The backups feel that. They really do. They feel that. And they don't want to give up points. They don't want to be the team. And so when you have that kind of culture built, what it makes is now whatever happens between now and the end of the season, you had an undefeated regular season. Next year, coming in, you're going to want to raise your standard because last year, this team went undefeated. We can't let that drop. And that's where the guys that have been around, that leadership, especially when you start stacking years, a standard is set. And now you better uphold that standard. Otherwise, there's going to be accountability. And it's going to be accountability from fans. It's going to be accountability from coaches. And that's not about pressure, which also you come into a situation like that, you damn well better be ready to deal with the pressure. But it's about a culture and accountability. And Curt Cignetti's had that everywhere he's gone. And obviously it has paid off this year. 812-393-2600 is the number. Odd situation, obviously, because you don't know who you're going to play in the next game yet, because it's a Friday after Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I really do not like these games happening after Thanksgiving, especially right after, because the lack of students on campus changes the atmosphere of a game. That was part of why Indiana fans were able to get so many tickets, too. Purdue fans were obviously staying away, but it's just different. Can't remember the year that they changed that, but until relatively recently, the season was over before Thanksgiving, and they continue to play. Well, now, of course, you have this game, and Indiana got 2 byes, and that bye week really was helpful, I think, prior to the Wisconsin game. And now, 56-3, you go into next week on a high note and with a lot to play for. And that's something that can't be overlooked. Paul says, let's go. Tony on the chat says, I always thought if Indiana could get a coach, they could win. And they got one coach. They did. And my thing has always been, Indiana historically has been, I think a lot of guys came to IU looking at it as somewhat of a stepping stone to where if you could be successful here, maybe you could parlay that into a different job. That's exactly what Kevin Wilson was planning on doing. The second they built any kind of success, he was going to bounce for a bigger program. And, so is it a job that you could be here for a couple of years, get a young guy, and then he moves on? Well, Indiana got the perfect guy this time because here's a guy who's getting his opportunity to play in a P4 conference and then came here and was successful. He's been here 25 games. He's got 2 contract extensions, and he'll be here until he retires. So you don't have to worry about that point A to point B. But what it does, if he continues to have the success that he has had, and all indications are that he will, well, then you have a situation where the job is so much more attractive to whoever the next guy is, whenever that time may come. And obviously it won't be for several years. But this season is going to be just something else. Paul says, super proud of the team. Our program is one of the best in the country, period. Never thought I'd see this day. Now go and win the chips. And I've actually talked with people about that over the years, that Indiana, the goal, I think even as a fan base, has never been national championship. It is get to a bowl, build a program, one day maybe compete for a Big Ten championship. I don't think there's a lot of people that really looked at national championship aspirations. That's for basketball. Last year, even when you go to the college football playoffs, you had that opportunity by getting into the field. But I don't know that expectations of being able to legitimately compete for a national championship was really part of that equation. Yeah, we all knew that was a possibility, but it wasn't part of the equation because it was seemed so far-fetched. Now, win or lose next Saturday, it's very, very likely Indiana is going to be having a bye and being able to have a very good opportunity to play for a national championship and go deep. It's just incredible. Just incredible. Perfection. That's hard to believe. R11 says Davion Chandler looked explosive. Keeping the pipeline of talent from Indy to Bloomington is going to be huge. Absolutely. And, that's part of that challenge is when you have two Big Ten schools within basically 50 miles of Indianapolis, you have to, there's that tug of war. It's part of why the rivalry is what it is. But you have so much success here while Purdue struggles. It's easy to see, who most kids would want to go play for. It's easy to figure that out. 812-393-2600 is the number. I don't know what time it is. It's coming up. Ooh, we're on 12:17. So we're getting there with right about an hour worth of time. Haven't had a call in a bit. Last call for phone calls. Appreciate everybody hanging in there as we get into Saturday morning. Another call-in show again after the IU basketball game against Bethune-Cookman. Again, it's Bethune-Cookman, but this Darren DeVries team is kind of fun to watch and such a change from what it has been. So that is something that should be, exciting to see. Wondering what the crowd's going to look like for that game, though, because there's some snowy weather coming into Bloomington, so wonder if that's going to affect things. But the weather was a factor in this game, but at least it wasn't a snowy factor in this game. It's a question that was asked the other day about Fernando Mendoza and playing in cold weather. That this was probably the coldest game that he was ever going to play in, after obviously coming from Cal, growing up in Miami, those kinds of things. So if the cold rattled things a little bit, that could be a bit of an explanation, because Fernando did seem just a bit off, and the cold can do that. It's not going to be a problem next week because they're playing in a dome. So weather won't be a factor the rest of the way out. I suppose you could have rain wherever they land, in their next couple of in the college football playoffs. But it's just incredible, folks. Absolutely incredible. Undefeated season. Mendoza is a Heisman Trophy candidate, and a good one. See, somebody also made the point here that Roman Hemby had only 5 fewer yards than Jeremiah Love for Notre Dame against Purdue. So when you're talking about what guys do for both of you, Jeremiah Love, 19 for Notre Dame. Notre Dame scored 56 points. They gave up 30 to Purdue, by the way. Jeremiah Love in that one, 19 carries for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. In this one, 12 carries for Roman Hemby, 152 yards and a touchdown. Averaged 12.7 a carry. That's better than what Love did against a common opponent. It's really incredible. Really, really incredible. And, we had another, one of the callers talk about watching the games with his dad and the family and all of that. And that is all part of this. Again, Charlie, the intern, sat on the couch with me watching the game. And to be able to sit there and watch it, he's 10 years old. He'll be 11 at the end of the month. And, that's something he's going to be able to remember, is that, hey, I watched Indiana win the Old Oaken Bucket and complete this perfect season. Think about how many times you've heard stories about the IU season in 1945 when Indiana went 9-0-1, or that Rose Bowl season, or, some of these seasons. This one is perfection. Sig touched on it, saying that there's only one of these, and that's what it is. R11 says, if we win the Big Ten championship, I think we need to bring in best intern in the podcast game. I promise you, he will want to be on air and give his thoughts on it for sure. For sure. So it's been a season. Been a very, very exciting season, one that has been absolutely incredible. I've loved the calls again, and we're going to keep it up. So I'm not saying goodbye. This is just for tonight. However, 12-0 does get you a little celebratory Woodford here. My Nuka-Cola glass, because I like Fallout. I did not put ice in that. What a season. Indiana is 12-0 with more football left to go. A lot of questions to be answered next week. A lot of questions to be answered tomorrow. A lot of questions to be answered next week as well. And again, call-in show after the Bethune-Cookman show. We could talk football then too. And should be a lot of fun. By the way, if you ever miss any of these call-in shows, I put them up onto the Peegs podcast feed immediately afterwards. So if you ever miss one of these, you could always still get an opportunity to hear it, and we'll be going all through the basketball season and everything. I've just upgraded some equipment here at the home studio, and got a better camera, got a different ring light, got a monitor. It's massive, and it's a lot of fun. So I have a ton of fun talking to you guys. Had even more fun watching 56-3 win for IU over Purdue to finish their perfect season 12-0 and go to the Big Ten championship game with an opportunity to do some really extra special things going forward. Well, that's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best. Piglin31 says, I can confirm it's massive. That is my son, Nick Bykoff, the older one. It's pretty big. I know he's dying for me to get off of this so that he could play games with his friends, but too bad. I'll try this again. That's all the time we have on the Peegs Post Game Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and excited community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time, but for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.